What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Focus TV Season 7, Episode 24. We got Octavia White here, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, and I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. Look, we'll just jump right into it. We talked to you guys last week, NBA playoffs, had a long discussion about it. The first round is rapidly moving. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that up on the screen and get right to it. We have one series. We got two series over already, so we start there. The Timberwolves completed the demolition of the Phoenix Suns, sent them to the offseason to figure out what they're going to do with their lives. And then Jamal Murray, for the second time in the series, finished off the Lakers late in another game in which the Lakers led or whatnot. But Octavia, we'll start with you, then Cardell and Ray. Your thoughts on – let's talk about those two series to begin with. Then we'll move to the series that are – we'll get to the other two series on the West as well.
Yeah, so wait, which ones are we starting with? My brain just froze for a second.
It's all good. We're starting with 2 to 3 folks that got sent home already officially. We got 3 people that are officially home on the West.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose wherever you want to begin. We got Nuggets Lake. We start Nuggets Lakers, Timberwolves Suns, and obviously Thunder Pelicans on that side in terms of things that are already done. But go ahead.
What's wild is that the West is like almost done. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'll start with the Thunder Pelicans. The Pelicans just didn't have enough without Zion. It's kind of sad. Unfortunately, Zion had a really good year outside, staying healthy for a majority of the year until right up until the playoffs, right in the play-in tournament. It sucks. And a lot of their players, they had decent play in the playoffs. Like CJ McCollum, I expected a little bit more from. But you really can only do what you can do. The Thunder are young, hungry. I think we said last week they're the youngest average age of the teams in the playoffs at 23.8 years old. Shea has just been playing out of his mind. Jalen Williams with this inflatable helmet that he wore to the game yesterday. I guess he came ready to play. Everybody was saying, coming to the game like that, you better be ready to play because I don't know what that was. But yeah, they just have a solid team. They have the coach of the year in Mark Daigneault, and they did what they need to do. And that's what you need to do, especially as a young team coming into the playoffs. I think they said this is the Thunder's first playoff win since 2000 and whenever. I can't remember when it was. But it's been a long time. So congrats to the Thunder. We talk about 1A, 1B, 1C, and we see 1A, 1B, 1C all got their opponents out of there. Timberwolves and the Suns, Anthony Edwards is a problem. We've been saying this for years, but to me, he's such a great player for the league, not even just Minnesota. He's a great player for the league, and it's nice to see a star who is good on both sides of the court and takes pride in both ends of the court on the offensive side as well as the defensive side. He was just toying with them the whole series. Kudos to them. They did what they needed to do to get the Suns out of there. We talked about earlier in the season, the Suns on paper looked like a really good team. Now that the season's over, there have been different things coming out of camps, people not being comfortable in their role that they had for the entire year. Didn't quite like the offense and things of that sort. Unfortunately, those type of things then come down to coaching when the coach, of course, is not on the court. I think I read a stat where they said for the Suns, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker were minus 51 for all first-round series for 3 players in a first-round series, which was just terrible. They just didn't look like they were together, and it showed. And then again, the Timberwolves were just on one, and again, 1A, 1B, 1C. And last but not least on this one, the Nuggets and the Lakers. This was actually a pretty good series. I think it was last year as well. We talk about, the Lakers got swept last year, but people were calling it such a close sweep, whatever you want to call that, because a sweep was a sweep. But they played them hard. They played them well. They played them hard. Anthony Davis had a great year as well as a great playoff series. Unfortunately, he got injured in his last game. What didn't look like much turned into much as far as his injury. It looked like he probably had like a stinger of some sort. He really couldn't move his left arm. LeBron did everything that he could. Unfortunately, the others were too inconsistent throughout the series. And granted, they were up for majority of the games in this series. They just could not close out the eventual MVP of the year in Nikola Jokic, as well as Jamal Murray, who last night wasn't even supposed to play with a calf injury. A lot of calf injuries going around, which is, I don't know what people are doing to their calves. But to go from being questionable in the game, dropping 32 and another game winner in the same series, over the same player again, the other player who also thinks that they should be in the running for defensive player of the year, but I digress. Yeah, I mean, they just didn't have enough. I think LeBron and AD did everything they could. They stayed relatively healthy this year. But the others, the D'Angelo Russells, I mean, Rory had a not great series as well. I think he played well in this last game. But with the inconsistencies with him, Austin Reeves, the rotation, foul trouble at times. When Jackson Hayes got in, he ain't want no parts. He ain't want no parts of Jokic. So I mean, champions do what champions do. They were down a lot in the series, but they were able to push through and find a way. And I felt like in every game we always knew that they would, outside of the one game that they did lose. So they call it a gentleman's sweep this year, I guess. You just kind of always felt like, regardless of where they were during the game and what was going on, the runs and everything like that, that they were going to walk the Lakers down, which they did 4 out of the 5 times, and weren't able to pull out the 4-1 win. These next series are going to be so exciting. This is the time of year I'm excited for, regardless of who the Thunder ends up playing. I think it's going to be good. And the Timberwolves and Nuggets, that's going to be a show.
All right, Cardell, you got 2 sweeps and a gentleman's sweeps, and you're free to start wherever you would like.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the Thunder and Pelicans. That was just convincing, man. That was that was about as dominant a performance as you can get. Probably the most dominant performance so far in the playoffs, where they just went through a team. They really had no answer. Especially, with Zion there, it still would have been a tough series for them to win. It obviously would have been more competitive, but without him, with their defensive woes on the Pelicans, outside Jones and like Trey Murphy, those are only 2 guys. Alvarado, but he don't do enough offensively. And he's too small for like SGA and all those guys. Outside those 2, there's no defensive presence whatsoever. I know Jonas is big inside. He did his job for what they're asking him to do with the role. He averaged double, 14 and 11. But my man literally didn't get a block either. You know what I mean? He just closed the lane. So, but when you look at the defensive side of the ball, they gave the Thunder no resistance at all. It was just the Thunder executed at will. They were efficient, and they got whatever they wanted. And then on the defensive side for them, they showed up. CJ older, he never was a stout defender. He's been kind of always on one side of the ball. But look, I mean, when you shoot 41% from the field and 24% from deep, you average 17, 4 and 4. That's decent, but that's not nearly good enough in the playoffs, and especially for to overcome what they were lacking with Zion, those guys being out. It just showed. It just shows what it is, man. And Brandon Ingram, it's gonna be a tough summer for him. He really didn't show up at all. Like, he thoroughly got outplayed, and he's the guy that, especially when Zion's not there, he got to be the guy to show the load. Like, CJ shouldn't be leading them in scoring. He should be complimenting Ingram. And Ingram, Dort, what they call it, the torture chamber, or whatever like that. Yeah, he locked him up. It's no getting around that, man. He averaged 14, 4 and 3, but he shot 34% from the field, 25% from deep, man. My man, you're supposed to be a 6'9", 6'10" wing, man. You let Lou Dort, who's 6'4", but big body, physical, great defender. He wore him down, and he got some soul searching to do this summer, man. I don't know why dudes year after year try to come back and not really attack their body, especially as they get older, and really strengthen that area. What you gonna do when they allow defenders get after you in the playoffs? If you're trying to make a deep playoff run, you're gonna wear down, and that's what you basically saw from him. And it was nothing he could do, and he knows it. Because one thing I respect about him in the press conference, he ain't make no excuses. He ain't point the finger at the coaching staff or whatever, man. He said ever since USA basketball, he ain't played well. And he got some soul searching to do this summer. So respect to him for being accountable. But with him playing like that, no Zion, CJ can't guard SGA, and really not getting much from the others, man. It's easy to see why they got swept. Moving on to the Timberwolves and Suns, man, we all year skeptical. I don't, all that. Even when they got Bill, people ain't want to hear it. Look, and there's no disrespect to Bill, but it was the reason why he was in the Pippen role when Wall was the guy here. And you saw it. You see what I'm saying? And Lord have mercy. When Anthony Edwards did to him and Devin Booker for most of the series, well, pretty much the entire series. I know Devin Booker showed up the last game, had a big game, but to take out two of your peers at your same position on the same team in the same playoff series, like everybody's been saying it. You haven't really seen that since Mike. You know what I'm saying? You just go through everybody, and it's convincing that it's not close. Bill got destroyed. There's no other way to put it. Booker did his thing offensively, but he has never been known as a defender. So other guys got their shots whenever he switched on and got his. It didn't matter. Jamie McDaniels, NAW, Kid Alexander Walker, they all got their thing. They all got did what they were supposed to do. Karl Anthony Towns was huge. I think his shooting, spreading the floor, and I gotta give him props, man. I've been critical of him in the past about his defense, man, about him being soft on that end and all that. Boy, showed up. Like, it was one sequence late in the game where they were up 2, and I think every coach, no matter the level, should have that clipped up to show their teams how to properly rotate on defense when they're moving the ball and they're swinging it, how you're supposed to rotate. And it resulted in Jaden McDaniels steal, but none of that would have been possible because I think KD got the switch on Mike Conley and had him in the post, and Cat went to double. So obviously KD kicked it out and they started swinging it. But Cat recovered, got back out there, and that saved the defense possession. Years past, he just did a double, and when it ran out as hard, somebody would have got an open shot. But with them swinging the ball and the Wolves covering and closing out like they should, Bill drove baseline through the pass, and Jaden McDaniels was double down and got the steal, man. And I'm like, that's why they have a chance to win the championship this year. When you play defense like that, when you have cold spells offensively, you still can be in the game and save yourself because you're holding the other team down until you can get going offensively again. And that's what's encouraging about them. Look, man, the top-heavy stuff clearly is tough. It doesn't work. It doesn't guarantee anything. And the Suns, they pretty much put everything they had into this. And the thing people got to realize is Bill in his mid-30s, basically. KD's 36. Devin Booker's knocking on 30. You don't really, unless you're going to go deep in the luxury tax, you don't really have much room to try to go get some key veterans or whatnot. And you don't even have draft picks. It's going to be tough to build around that core, man. It's going to be tough. And the West is even stronger. And you have to be careful. We've been saying the last couple of years, the young boys are coming. They're coming. People don't want to believe because they regurgitate the same stuff on these national media outlets. So these teams to the casual fans seem like they sneak up. It's like, nah, they've been coming for a couple of years. They just finally figured it out and click now. Like Oklahoma City, like Minnesota. And last couple of years, what was this dark, like I call it the whatever you want to call it, low market, whatever, darling, Sacramento Kings. And they're at home watching. They got jumped that quick. Utah Jazz, playoffs a couple years ago, they got jumped. That's how quick things can change in the league, which is why when you have the opportunity, it should always be a sense of urgency in the playoffs, man. You should never move like, yeah, we're going to be back there because it's not guaranteed. And now you got that boy down in San Antonio. Well, a couple teams in Texas you got to look out for. Houston, they're building. They getting closer and closer. And then you looking at the boy Wembanyama, all he needs is a couple. He don't even need nothing major. He just need 1 or 2 horses to go to him, and then they going to be in the mix. And then how you going to deal with that? You see what I'm saying? And it's factual. It's real. It's real right now, especially out west, man. So the young boys have grown up. They're not at all. They just like, I'm coming to get mine. I need that. You know what I'm saying? And it's refreshing to see because it creates high level competitive basketball, man. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not shocked that the Wolves. I'm not shocked that the Wolves swept them because I didn't believe that Phoenix could defend consistently enough, and they really throughout the season were inconsistent. They needed a point guard bad, and I know other people have said it. I've been saying it. Everybody's not a point guard. Just because you can handle and pass, don't mean you understand pace of game, time management, how to get guys their shots and they're at their spots, regardless of defense, how to generate those points, even against a tough defense and stuff, sacrificing your own game to make sure everybody else gets going, or when they're struggling, you recognize that I need to get going. It's tough being a point guard because you're essentially the quarterback of your team. Everybody can't do that. You can't just plug somebody in because they can handle the ball and pass. Everybody don't have the vision. Their natural instincts are their natural instincts. And to believe that, Booker's a natural scorer. Yes, he can make plays, but he's not a point guard. Bill, no disrespect, man. I'm not trying to. The man just learned how to dribble a few seasons ago. We remember the early years. So why would you think he could be a point? And his defense has always been suspect. Like that dunk on him and KD, that was bad defensive position. And my man was leaning front. He was leaning over. He was easy. He's right for the pickings. Like go give him a quick move and go past him and finish it. And that's exactly what Ant-Man did. You see what I'm saying? It was easy blow by. That's why even when he did somehow stay in front of Ant-Man, Ant-Man took his time, got in the mid post, shot right over him, no resistance. Because Ant-Man's far more athletic than him. And it goes to show you how somebody can be similar in size and height, but the difference in the gap in the athleticism is sickening. You know what I'm saying? Because he really, even KD didn't even bother his shot when he faded on him. You know what I'm saying? And that's saying a lot, man. So kudos to them, even Mike Conley. I know his numbers wasn't great throughout the series or whatnot, but his leadership. The Conleys, man, you gotta give them credit. The Conleys, man, they criticized him for getting Rudy, criticized him for getting Mike Conley, but those are the guys you need. You need vets. You need guys that excel at certain roles. Mike Conley is a consummate professional, so his professionalism has helped Ant grow, helped Cat grow. So you got the older OG out there doing the right things day in, day out. You have no choice but to follow you're the problem, and that's just how it goes. So that series against the Nuggets. It's gonna be beautiful to watch. Because let's keep it real. Conley built the Timberwolves to beat the Nuggets. That's why he went and got two bigs, which is why I don't understand why people are critical of him wanting to get Rudy Gobert. Eventually, you're gonna have to mix it up. You can't just keep doubling Jokic. She's gonna tear you up. All right. To me, he's the best player in the game at this point. Okay, so you're gonna need somebody that can hold the fort down sometimes solo. And he's one of the rare bigs that can. You know what I mean? So, because other guys are threats. You got Jamal Murray, man, Aaron Gordon in the dunking spot, Michael Porter Jr., good Lord, what he was doing, the way he shot the ball in the Lakers series was ridiculous, man. Like, he ain't seen nothing. And respect to him, like I said, off the court stuff that he's been going through, for him to still be locked in like that, I mean, that tells you how tough he is, man. And at 6'10", with his athleticism, he ain't seeing nothing either. You know what I mean? So, then you got the role players, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Christian Braun, and those guys, man. Like guys coming in. And that's, to me, after you get past that, that's the Nuggets' weakness. They're not as deep as last year. You know what I mean? And the reason why I think the series with the Lakers was closer than probably they would have liked is because the young boys have shown right now on the Nuggets they're not quite ready. The Peyton Watsons, Reggie Jackson, he's never really been that efficient as a scorer or playmaker. Even though he got the job done, certain seasons, they're not quite ready yet. And that comes with experience, man. They're only in their, second or third year. You see what I'm saying? So it's different, you know what I mean? And they didn't really play a lot last year. So it's when you lose Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, those are major holes. Those are vets that can fill a lot of roles and understand how to get it done. And I think that's the advantage for the Timberwolves because they got depth, and veteran depth to take advantage of the holes that the Nuggets have, but they still got the best player in the series, even with Ant-Man playing like he does. And that's Jokic until proven otherwise. Now, if they beat him, then you got to say, hey, it's Ant-Man's time. But you know those saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So that's what it's going to be. And last but not least, we move over to the Nuggets and Lakers. Like I said, Anthony Davis played well. LeBron played well offensively. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give him that side of the ball. I can't say defensively because his matchups played pretty well. They were pretty efficient. Like Aaron Gordon, 13 points, nearly 10 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, and he's not even a guy that they look to make plays like that, but he shot 52% from the field. Michael Porter Jr., like I said, he was lights out, 55% from the field, 48% from deep, 76% from the line, and he averaged 22 and 8. You know what I mean? That's the series right there. That's how close it was. Jokic and AD kind of canceled each other out, even though Jokic did his usual almost triple-double. And Jamal Murray, he had a rough couple of games to start the series, but he woke up, especially in the clutch. They close out the series in the last couple of games. That was the edge. I think Michael Porter Jr. elevating his game was the edge that the Lakers couldn't match up with, because neither team role players outside of those guys really had a big game. I know Reeves got going in the last game, but so did Murray. You know what I mean? So that kind of canceled each other out. It's ironic that the one game the Lakers won, they went through AD more, and I felt like they should have did that more. You know what I mean? Like when LeBron was kind of taking the reins, looking to score more, it just didn't work because he ran out of gas. Obviously him being the age he is and whatever. And then on top of that, when you're kind of hiding on defense for the most part, I know sometimes he'll get active and stuff like that, but for the most part, when he's hiding on defense, he's trying to conserve his energy for offense. I feel like, man, you should have utilized AD more. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Because they really had no answer for him. You know what I mean? I'm like, fine, he can't guard Jokic, but Jokic can't guard him. And he had a constant mismatch. He could light you up from mid-range, lob threat, post up, he was finishing. And then on top of that, on defense, he had to cover up for a lot of holes on defense. People don't give him enough credit. He had to cover up for a lot of holes, man. And, for him to maintain that was crazy. Like, look, with that being said, he averaged the same amount of points as LeBron, and he shot 63% from the field. That's what I'm saying. He should have got more shots. That's ridiculous, man. Like, he averaged 27.8, same as LeBron, 15.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and nearly 2 blocks. He was hooping. But that's a series where, like, AD, we need like 35 and 20. We need that. If they get that out of him, if he's able to sustain that, then it's a possibility they can scare the Nuggets. They could have pushed it, and they were that close to being with what it is right now. I know Austin Reeves, he woke up in the last game, but to me, he didn't really play that well. D'Angelo Russell, it's tough playing with LeBron. You become a three-point shooter, you got to spread the floor. So you take away a lot of stuff that he's capable of doing. But outside of that, Rory, Tony Prince, Spencer Dinwiddie, it wasn't a good series. So, they got their things they need to work on whatsoever. But to me, the better team won. The champs won. You know what I mean? Obviously, home court advantage, everything going for them. They did what they should do. So they probably should have swept too. They were dangerous. The thing about letting a series continue to go, you risking injury. You risking something stupid happening, like Jamal Murray's calf injury going into this series with Minnesota. Now, maybe these few days will help him heal, but that's what I'm saying. It could have been more serious, and then it gets tricky after that because you need him. So if he's not able to perform up to what he does, then that could be upset. So when you got a chance to take a team out, take them out. You don't want to play around with them. They found a way to do that. He hit the game winner, so it's all good. But, look, it's going to be a fun series to see. And, I'm interested to see how the Nuggets and the chess match that's about to come between them and the Wolves.
Yeah, as you dubbed it, the Connolly Classic on Twitter, I think last night. I think everybody's looking forward to it. Ray, have you a whack at the West at those 3 series, and then we'll start with you for just your thoughts on Clippers Mavs as that one's 2-2 before we move to the East.
I'm gonna start at the top as well with Thunder and the Pelicans. Like Octavia and Cardell pointed out, they just handled business and got them up out of there quick. No Zion. They're clearly the better team. That's what you got to do. Just like Cardell said, man, the longer these series go on, the more chance of foolishness happening. So, just get these 4 games and rest up and wait for your next opponent. For the Timberwolves and Phoenix, Minnesota just showed them what was what, man. We're looking at the ascension of Anthony Edwards right now. It shouldn't be surprising to anyone that's been paying attention. He has progressed nicely every year. Now he's getting to the stage where things are fully coming together. I like the way he approaches the game on both ends. His defense, man, has just improved so much since he got in the league, and now he's getting that air about himself where, he's letting people know what it is. He's always been a supremely confident player, but he's taking charge in huddles. He's getting in his teammates. He's becoming a leader, and and those results are showing themselves on the court. Yeah, man, he looked those dudes in the eyes like he looked at old boy on Hustle. It was just like, it is what it is, man. Y'all got to get up out of here, and he swept them. Phoenix, man, they got a lot of questions. I wasn't a fan of the move to get Bill. They mortgaged their future for a third option and eradicated all their depth. And it showed up all season and in this series. So yeah, man, they gonna have to clean that up. I don't know how. They owe that man $161 million with a no trade clause. Good luck. Yeah, Nuggets Lakers. The better team won, plain and simple. The Lakers just couldn't close. I think they had double-digit leads in 3 of the 5 games. That can't happen, man. You're playing you're getting the better of a team like that, and you still lose 4-1. Yeah, man. So you gotta look at yourself in the mirror at some point, man. I agree with Cardell. AD should have been featured a little bit more. He was having a lot of success. And I think it was game 1. He was balling through 3 quarters, and then in the 4th quarter, LeBron got a little more aggressive offensively and started to assert his will and taking more shots, and that threw everything off. Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell were having great games, but in that last quarter, the rhythm of the team was messed up, and you just can't do that. You're the lower seed. You got a chance to steal one on the road to start the series out and put the pressure on them, and you fumble that game. So yeah, and the Nuggets capitalized. They went on to finish the job. That Murray injury, hopefully it's nothing serious, because he's a big part of what they do. So and they got a tough one in this next round, man. So yeah, hopefully these couple days give him a chance to get as close to 100% as he can. And going to this Clippers Mavs series, this has been a wild series, especially that last game. Shout out to the Clippers, man. You let a team walk down your 30-point lead and you just don't collapse completely. Yeah, on the verge of going down 3-1. Like that was kudos to them. But on the flip side, they did let a team walk down their 30-point lead. Like I don't understand that one. But shout out to James Harden and Paul George, man. They hoop. And I've been very critical of James Harden. But just being perfectly honest, once he got rolling this year, that's when the Clippers kind of hit their next gear. And they were looking like the best team in the league for a minute until injuries started hitting them. But he showed up. He's showing up this series, and if he continues to play like this, along with Paul George and Russ giving him what he gives them, then who knows, man? They got a shot. On the Mavericks side, at some point they got to play some defense. That just is what it is, man. Like it's hard to win in the playoffs when you can't defend. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's 2-2 now. We'll see what happens. Yeah, man, they're back at it tomorrow night. One thing I can't wait about this next round is these late games going to get tailored off, because getting up there in age, them joints be hard to keep up with. But no, seriously, man, this playoffs have been pretty good so far. It's been a couple teams to get thoroughly dominated, but in that dominance, we've been able to see some great performances as well. So yeah, just looking forward to more competitive series.
All right, Cardell and Octavia, thoughts on Clippers Mavs, and the winner gets the right to play 1A of the West in the Thunder. That's your reward for getting out of this series. And Ray, I don't know, Dallas might challenge you on that statement about having to play defense. We'll see what happens. Cardell, your thoughts on Clippers Mavs before we move on to the East?
Yeah, like Ray said, it's been a wild up and down series. You don't know which way to fight. It's kind of like that famous clip with Hagler and Tommy Hitman Hearns. They just slugging it out, and it looked like one dude getting wobbled. The next thing you know, he fighting back and he wobbling the other guy. It's like that right now. But to me, it's a contrast to two styles. Neither team really is playing defense. But the Clippers are bombing the Mavs from 3-point range, like bombing those boys. They've shot 124 threes in 4 games and made 54 of them. They're shooting 43%. But the Mavs, on the other hand, they're getting to the free throw line a lot more. They got to the line. They've taken 104 free throws and made 77 of those, 74%. Whereas when you look at the Clippers have only attempted 77 free throws. So it's a contrast to two styles, you know what I'm saying, where obviously the Luka effect, Kyrie, can't guard. They're trying to take advantage of James Harden and those guys, stress Paul George, especially with no Kawhi. They're really trying to test the Clippers one-on-one defense and their cohesiveness on that end. And they're having success because obviously the series won't be tied 2-2. But in return, they don't play no defense. They're lazy. So you getting the Clippers bombing them from 3. It's crazy. Like James Harden in the series he's shooting 54% from the field, 50% from deep, 91% from the free throw line right now. Paul George is shooting 45% from the field, 42% from deep, 80% from the line. Norman Powell is shooting 58% from deep. Terrence Mann is shooting 50% from deep. You got 4 guys shooting between 42% and damn near 60% from deep from the Clippers. So that tells you how bad the Mavs defense is. It's perimeter defense, because obviously inside they ain't getting nothing but Lively and Gafford and on back there roaming or whatever. But at the same time, on the perimeter, it's looking like shooting around before the game. You know what I'm saying? They getting those same looks and they taking advantage of them. And like Ray said, that game that they won to get walked down and they ain't break, that was impressive, because I was just like, I can't believe they got walked down, but then they regrouped and close it out, especially doing it on the road. So now this is a big game for you. Got to win this, because you can't go back down to Dallas down 3-2. I just think that'll be the series, because I think Luka and the boys will really lock in and make sure they ain't not gonna go back out to LA. You know what I'm saying? To try to deal with this, but I just think it's the styles, and it's a contrast of styles, man. And honestly, whoever really just played more consistent defensively would determine the series. I keep going back to defense. I don't know why people act like that's not important. I heard Harden say wild quote where he was just like, with the caliber of talent offensively, defense really in a sense don't matter. But I'm like, nah, it does matter. He said after the last one, he's like, yeah, it's just defense don't really, matter. I'm like, nah, it matters, but I get why you're saying that. You know what I'm saying? That's never really been a motivation for you, but eventually it will have to be, especially if you get past the series, because somebody better stop SGA. That's all I know. And can't put that on Paul George, because he got to deal with Dort and he got to deal with Jalen Williams. So more than likely, that's going to be you, Bow. So, yeah, with that mentality, I just can't rock with that championship. You can't say you have championship mentality and looking at defense. It's like, I'll do it when I need to. Hopefully, it just doesn't work like that. But you know, it's an interesting series. We're gonna see how it goes, man. But yeah, moving forward, Celtics Heat, that should have been a sweep. You know, credit to the Heat for fighting. No Jimmy, but that should have been a sweep. Celtics, what I just say, they messed around, had to play extra game. Porzingis hurt, so that can drastically mess up their championship chances. That's why you don't play around. Get them up out of there, get some rest, because him and Al Horford basically their only bigs. And the next team, whoever comes out the Cavs and Magic series, you're gonna have to deal with them many a big, and you're small now. So Tatum, them boys gonna have to play the 5, and that ain't even a good look, man. It's just see, that's why you don't play games. Get them up out of there, man. As for the Cavs and Magic, I just think them the Cavaliers has kind of been similar to Phoenix in a sense. Like they've been like the Phoenix of the East. They've been up and down. But you thought they would kind of pull together in the playoffs, and really all either team has done is protect our home court. But I like the momentum that the Magic picked up at home, man. I think they just need a couple games to really get used to playoff basketball, and I think it was a shock to their system. But they adjusted, and now they got confidence and they got momentum and stuff like that. Now they got to figure out how to win on the road. You know what I'm saying? Because where they're going back to Cleveland. But with Jared Allen being out, you got to favor the Magic. And that's a big blow. That's a big blow, especially with the size and, you know, the athleticism that the Magic has inside, man. So, hey, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough series right there, man. Donovan Mitchell, somebody gonna have to really elevate their game because without Jared Allen, it's tough to see how they can win that. Unless the Magic just show their inexperience and their youth again on the road, which can happen, but we'll see. And Bucks and Pacers, I mean, come on now. You know, look, man, no. First of all, no Giannis. It's already up here battle, and then no Dame. Like, look, I appreciate Chris Middleton for not making excuses. He out there balling, trying to carry the low. Brook Lopez turning the clock back. He looking like Brooklyn Lopez, but hey, man, you gave the Pacers life. You can't play games, man, and they figured it out. And what did we say after Dame lit them up and they got that W? Rick Carlisle. And they've done that. Understand how they make adjustments, and he's made some hellified adjustments, and that's why, you know, they're up. You know what I mean? 3-1 has a chance to close it out. And as we talk, Knicks 76ers, Lord, man. First of all, I love when I'm seeing out the Knicks, man. Like they're actually, with that quote from James Harden, that's the team you look at. You be like, you really believe that? I'm looking at the Knicks, and they. Come on, like they up 3-1 on the MVP. That don't make any sense for them to pull off what they've been doing without Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson stepping this game up. Josh Hart going scoreless. We're going in there at 6'4". Let me get 17 rebounds. You know, I mean, you know, you got people looking at Embiid like, my man, you really think 30 enough? Get the rebound, bro. Like, we need some rebounds, bro. Like it looked bad, bro. I'm just saying, it looked bad, bro. When a guard going in 6'4", not even a big guard, a small guard going there, he up here pulling out Moses Malone numbers in the rebounding category. Dog, bro. Nah, man. All series, it make key offensive rebounds. Kelly Oubre box out. That key offensive rebound, Josh Hart right in front of him got it. It's little things where the Knicks are just playing with more heart and toughness, but they're playing smart, man. You know what I'm saying? And Embiid, with his little cheap self, he woke up Brunson with the little forearm. He pissed him off. Like, oh, that's how you go. And then he locked in. You got to let sleeping dogs lie. I would have left him alone. You be struggling, keep struggling. So you trying to be chippy and stuff already on one leg. So, man, look, man, you know, I can't see the score right now. Try to check, but obviously the Knicks and the mode to try to finish this, man. But it's gonna be tough. You know, I expect Embiid to try to fight. You know what I'm saying? Maxey is always a tough load. I see. Okay, they Knicks down 2 in the third. I see Tobias Harris. No, I don't want to be disrespectful. He's making an impact this game. You know what I'm saying? That's what they need more out of him with Embiid banged up and stuff like that. But it comes back to the little things. Whoever does the little things in the series is going to pull it out, man. But on the Knicks side of things, you don't want to lose this game. I think if you lose this game, you're probably going to lose the series. because you don't want to go back to Philly because I think Embiid gonna really lock in, go crazy, and make sure they try to end it in New York, man. So, like I said, you don't want to play games. Get them up out of there so you can move on, especially with the way the Pacers got a chance to close out the Bucks.
Octavia, Clippers, Mavs, and then your thoughts on the East, where you got, as Cardell so kindly went through, you got 3 series at a 3-1.
Yeah, like I agree with what all you guys said about all of these series. Clippers Mavs series is definitely up and down. And I agree, it's gonna come down to defense. James Harden doesn't surprise me that he doesn't think defense is important. I don't think he's ever thought defense was important. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, definitely got to give a lot of kudos to, Paul George and James Harden for kind of carrying the load without Kawhi being there. The 2 games they lost were the 2 games that Kawhi played in. Kawhi just hasn't been right. We know the knee issue is an issue. It sucks for him to continuously have to miss a lot of time. And you can tell it throws off the rhythm of the team when he's in and out of the lineup. So, I mean, at this point, I think it does more harm to them to have him out there than it does to help, especially in a tight series like this, especially when you got Paul George going, you got James Harden going, you got Norman Powell going, you got, I can't think of his name, the big guy in the middle going, and they bumping. Zubac, yes, they bump it. On the other side, Kyrie has been doing everything he possibly can do. I think he deserves a lot of credit too. We dogged him for a couple of years after that whole Brooklyn situation. He has quietly kept himself together this year. He's been a good quote unquote sidekick to Luka. You can tell that they've been able to play better and play more efficient together after the year they had last year. You can tell that it's definitely helped them this year. But yeah, this series can go any way. It definitely comes down to whoever's going to play the hardest defense. And what's crazy is I feel like the Mavs do have players that can play a little bit better defense in times. But when you got Paul George, like you said, looking like Paul George from the Pacers and James Harden looking like James Harden from the Houston Rockets, it's definitely going to be a tough situation. So they definitely got to have all hands on deck. I feel like those is just this one right now, the way this series is playing out, it's like you just got to watch and figure out, whoever plays the best that night, and does, like we always talk about, the little things and plays hard, definitely can pull it out. But that's going to be a good one. And like I said, whoever ends up playing the Thunder, I hope they do play defense, because like you did say, they got a lot of people over there that they praying you don't play defense. Like, don't even try. Please don't try, so we can go ahead and also get this 4-0 and rest up for the next round as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'll start with Boston and Miami. I said it last week, and when I watched the game earlier, I was like, I said this. I feel like this happens every year. I don't know what it is, and I will say it's just with the Heat, but it's more so the Celtics. They just always seem to take their foot off the gas at the most inopportune time. They kind of get up and then they start to cruise. Granted, Miami had a franchise career night. I think they had 23 threes in that game that they beat the Celtics in. But yeah, the Celtics should have swept them 4-0. And now with Kristaps Porzingis with a calf injury, another calf injury going on, he's already been ruled out of Game 5. That does make him a little bit thinner. It's going to have to be a lot of Al Horford, who is a little long in the tooth as well. It's going to be more Luke Cornett. It's going to be more Xavier Tillman. That is going to have to shoulder load. It's going to have to play really big against Bam, because we know Bam can, he can go off. So, and the Heat, they can go off. We've seen it happen in Game 2, the way they shot. And Tyler Hero got a little bit warm at the end of Game 4. So he can be going into this next game, feeling a lot more positive about his shot, because he struggled a little bit in the beginning of the game. But they ended the game on a good run where, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and all them should have been chilling on the bench, but they unfortunately were not able to. Luckily for them, they have a Derek White, who had an amazing game. I think he had not just a playoff career high, but a career high of 38 points. I mean, he dunked on 5 people at once, but he is also the glue for them. Without Porzingis being there, I feel like he's going to also have to kind of step up. Drew Holiday is commanding it as well. They just got to play like they've been playing all year and not take their foot off the gas, to hopefully get them some more time to rest. Because, again, with the next series, the Cavs and the Mavs going 2-2 right now, that has a potential of going 7. So they want to give themselves as much time as possible to rest, especially with the injury to Porzingis, who we know has a long injury history as well. So he's going to need as much time as he possibly can get. Same, like we talked about, Cavs and the Mavs, and the Magic, excuse me. I definitely think the Magic just woke up. Young team, never been in the playoffs. I think they said there's probably 3 to 4 people on their team that have playoff experience. I think they said combined it was like 58 games, and I can't remember who the person is that had the most. But they don't have a whole lot of experience. So I think them coming home on the home court kind of settled them in. Right now, they're down by 4 to Cleveland, 43-39. If they keep it close, you never know what can happen. Like you said, with no Jared Allen, that's going to be tough. But Donovan Mitchell is just going to have to kind of step up. I expect a lot more for Darius Garland. I don't feel like he's really had that great of a series either. But it's tough. It's tied 2-2. I feel like these teams are matching up pretty closely. It's also going to be one of those series, but it's going to come down to the little things. Bucks and Pacers is over. No Giannis, no Dame. Bobby Portis got ejected in the last game. I mean, they out there with I can't even remember the name. Jay Crowder, who didn't get a lot of play this year as well. He's having to step up a lot more. Brook is doing everything he possibly can. Chris Middleton is doing everything he possibly can. Connaughton is trying, but the Pacers woke up real quick. They played the Bucks well all year long, so this isn't new to them as well when it comes down to it. They just found their groove. And like you talked about as well, Cardell, the Rick Carlisle of it all, you knew he was going to make adjustments, and he made them quick, and they were executed. And the Pacers, they clicking. Unfortunately, they also do have a little bit of injury situations, as a lot of the teams do this late into the season, with Halliburton in the back spasms, but he's able to play through them. They're going to need him. Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Spicy P is killing as well. He was getting anything he wanted. So with no Giannis to stop him, and Brook doing everything he can, it's not looking good. They might as well just go ahead 1-2-3 Cancun. Have a nice season. Last but not least, the Knicks and the Sixers. I thought it would be. I feel like it's a close-ish series, even though it's 3-1, and there have been times when it hasn't been. We talked about in the first 2 games when Jalen Brunson was not shooting well. I think they say he was shooting 30% from the field. We knew eventually he was going to wake up, and he woke up in a big way. 47 in the last game, most ever franchise for a storied franchise like the New York Knicks. He's killing. And also, like you guys said, with no Julius Randle, I think Mitchell Robinson got hurt as well. So they're also having, injury issues. But the Villanova boys are doing the Villanova boy things. That is definitely a team that's going to play defense. This is a team that's primed and ready to play long minutes in the series, as well as they've been doing all year long, because that's a Tom Thibodeau coach team. They're going to play, and they out there and they're ready to play. DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, like you said, 17 rebounds. It's literally like, if my shot's not falling, what else can I do to help my team? And that's what you got to do. You got to figure out a way, especially in the playoffs. And like I said, we knew Jalen Brunson wasn't going to stay quiet for long. I think Joel is doing a lot of talking and I love playing. He's doing a lot of complaining. He's complaining about the fans not being there. That was probably not a good look. Like, y'all know I'm a fan. I'm a Philly-ish fan, not Sixers, but I know the Philly fan base as a whole. They don't want to hear all of that, bro. They want to see you go out there and win. They don't care if they was there or not. I was watching it on TV and y'all lost. So I saved my money at this point. I didn't come and see Jalen Brunson drop 47 on y'all. So he needs to be more worried about that, less worried about the refs, less worried about who's in the stands, more worried about not pulling people by the ankles, and making sure that he's playing well. And again, he's on one leg and he's doing everything he can. Tyrese Maxey is doing everything he can. We know Tobias Harris has been spotty. Nicholas Batum is long in the tooth as well, but he's trying his best. It's going to be tough. The Knicks are definitely going to try to close it out tonight. They are up 70-69 at the end of the third, so it's pretty close. And we'll see how that shakes up. But I expected this series to be good. It's definitely living up to it.
All right, we're getting closer and closer to this page shrinking. Ray, if you could wrap up the East of this playoff segment before we take our first break.
Yeah, start with Boston and Miami. One of my main things about Boston has always been they play with their food too much. I agree with both of y'all. This definitely should have been a sweep. No reason for them to still be dealing with these guys. And then they got another problem on their hands with Porzingis being injured. So that changes things for them moving forward. But yeah, they think they're just too reliant on 3-point shooting at times. Only time I ever remember them really driving a stake through a team's heart was when they swept the Nets a couple years ago. Outside of that, they've beaten teams. They've always been a better team, but I've never really felt like they just, got somebody up out of there. So I think they need that if they want to win a championship at some point, and the time is ticking for them. But yeah, man, they need to get rid of these people as soon as possible to prepare for their next series. Cavs and Magic. The Cavs now find themselves in a really tough position. They were up 2-0. The Magic responded emphatically at home. And now the Cavs have an injury problem of their own. The problem with young teams like the Magic is they're too young to know any better. So now the series is tied 2-2. You got a young, talented team to deal with, and you might be in trouble. So, we'll see how the Cavs respond to that. Bucks and Pacers is a done deal. The petty in me has been waiting to see this since they got Adrian Griffin fired. It was absolutely no reason for that. You're 30-13, and the man wants you to play defense and be and sacrifice some more offense so you can succeed. He's up out of there, and now here you are. So looking forward to the Pacers going ahead and driving the final nail in that coffin. Knicks and 76ers. Man, the Knicks, dog, is whoever played them, just get the ice bath ready, man, because it's you're gonna be in a dogfight. I think Wilson brought it up. I believe it was last week's show. That it's almost like they look forward to struggling on offense just so they can dedicate themselves that much more on the defensive side. And it's honestly beautiful to watch, man. Like Cardell pointed out earlier in this show, there's going to be times when the shots aren't falling and you need something to sustain yourself. If you're not scoring and you can't stop the other team from scoring, you're going to have a long night. But obviously that's not an issue for the Knicks because they are strapping and their defense is what held them up while Jalen Brunson had yet to join the series. And then he joined in a big way and they find themselves up 3-1. We'll see what Philly's made of tonight if they can fight themselves out of it and extend the series. But yeah, man, I feel like the Knicks are going to advance.
Yeah, it's been a fun playoffs thus far. I look forward to all that happens by the next time we talk to you guys with next week's playoff segment because it means we'll be in round 2. There are less games to discuss. The stakes get a little bit higher. And more people are going to be meeting up at that cafeteria in Cancun. We'll take our first break when we get back.
What you Galveston?
Meet up in that big cafeteria in Galveston. We'll take our first break when we get back. We'll have Octavia try to be objective about what the rest of her teams, what the rest of the division teams in her division did this week in the NFL draft. You're watching Focus TV. We will return shortly. All right, Octavia. Floor is yours. NFL draft did in fact happen. Your division was busy. I can't wait to see what you have to say about my boy AP's first draft over there, leading leading the way for the Commanders. But let's see.
All I can say is I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it because I just feel like the NFC East is becoming too comparable. Like everybody is actually doing like actual good football things, and I don't like it. I need them to stay the way that it's been. So this is me actually being very objective because I want to say everybody's draft was horrible except for ours, but everybody's draft was pretty good. So can't really hate too much. I'll start with the home team, Washington Commanders. Their draft picks, as we see, round 1, number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels of LSU. Round 2, Jerzan, that's what it's going to be today, Newton, from Illinois, a defensive tackle. Cornerback Mike Samerstill from Michigan. Tight end Ben Sinnott, KSU. Offensive tackle Brandon Coleman, TCU. Wide receiver Luke McCaffrey. I'm hoping he's nothing like his brother. From Rice. Linebacker Jordan McGee from Temple. Safety Dominique Hampton from Washington. And defensive end Javante Jean-Baptiste from Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, we'll start with the obvious, of course, the Jaden Daniels of it all. We all knew that the draft really started at the second pick, as everybody knew Caleb Williams was going number 1 in Chicago. I think they made the right pick between Jaden Daniels and Drake May. I think Jaden is an explosive player. I don't like it, but for their franchise, it should work. Only thing I'm concerned about is they're going to have enough in front of him to protect him. We saw Bryce Young last year. He ain't had nobody protecting him. He was running for his life. We know Jaden can move a little bit, but it gets a little different when you're in the league against grown men. So hopefully, he's able to stay upright. Some of their draft needs coming in, of course, quarterback, offensive line as well, and as well as cornerback. The cornerback they picked last year didn't work out too well. I'm sure they're not giving up on him, but still, they definitely need some help in that area as well. The Luke McCaffrey of it all, if you don't know, Christian McCaffrey's younger brother, which is why I'm hoping he's nothing like his brother. We don't need any of that.
He's not. He's like dad.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Still problems.
But I mean, like, come on, man. Like, hopefully, but I think the Washington Commanders had a very good draft. The good thing about the draft doesn't mean that you're done getting players. There are going to be a lot of rookie camps. There are a lot of vets that are trying to get back in the league that will be at some of these rookie camps as well. And I would assume that they're still going to be looking for some offensive lineman help, as they didn't really take too many. So that'll be interesting with the Washington Commanders and how they will, how it'll all shake up for them. But all in all, Mel Kiper, I love Mel Kiper. He's probably my favorite person to watch with draft stocks, and because I'm not a huge college watcher, so I listen to him a lot and see what he has to go on. So just to know his grade for the Washington Commanders was an A-. Pretty good if you ask me. And yeah, so we'll see how they shake out. OTAs are going to be here. I think OTAs already started for some places. You have rookie camps that'll be coming up soon. It's just going to be a very interesting time. Next, we'll go to the New York Giants. In round 1, they selected Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU, with the 6th overall pick. Round 2, Tyler Nubin, safety from Minnesota, with the 47th pick. Round 3, Andrew Phillips, cornerback, Kentucky, with the 70th pick. In round 4, Theo Johnson, tight end from Penn State, with the 107th pick. Round 5, Tyrone Tracy Jr., running back from Purdue, the 166th pick. And round 6, Darius Musa, linebacker from UCL, with the 183rd pick. A fairly small class. They didn't have a lot of draft capital this year going into the draft. They had, of course, some needs, wide receiver, cornerback. And I'm pretty sure almost everybody except for, I guess, the New York Giants thought they didn't need a quarterback. They opted not to take one. Where I've heard some rumblings like, they feel like maybe in the past they reached on Daniel Jones early. They may not have been too sold on JJ McCarthy. So instead of reaching again and possibly putting themselves in the same situation, they decided to try to get some other weapons for Daniel Jones, as last year, he was injured a lot. So they really didn't get a good gauge on how he would have been last year. But to the New York Giants, he played well the year before, which is why he got the contract. They arguably got one of the best wide receivers in Malik Neighbors. Interesting pick with the tight end Theo Johnson. As we know, Darren Waller is still mulling retirement. He got a lot going on here and got divorced and all types of stuff. So I know he got a lot that he got to figure out. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how it works out. I've always felt like with the New York Giants that, granted, their offensive line is also something that they always have an issue with. It seems like this year they're probably looking more for veterans, and they didn't really draft too many rookies in that offensive line, or they're putting more faith in their offensive line that they had last year to be better this year. They're going to have to, because after Daniel Jones, I think it's Drew Lock. I can't remember who's back there now with him. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes up for them. It's definitely a pivotal year for the New York Giants after Daboll had, an amazing first year and a terrible down second year. This could be make or break for some jobs for them. So definitely going to see how that shakes out. What they're going to do to replace Saquon. They did draft a running back. So right now we'll see what happens for them, but small class didn't have a lot of draft picks. So again, I'm sure they're still going to be looking around, as there are still some free agents out there. And you never know what happens in the NFL. Mel Kiper actually gave them a B in their draft. So take that as you may. Next, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys, who also had a relatively small draft class. In round one, they drafted Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma, with the 29th overall pick. In round two, Marshawn Nealon, defensive end from Western Michigan, with the 56th pick. In round three, Cooper Baby, from Kansas State, with the 73rd pick. Maris Lufa, linebacker from Notre Dame, with the 87th pick. Round five, Kalen Carson, cornerback from Wake Forest, with the 174th pick. Round six, Brian Flournoy, wide receiver, Southeast Missouri State, with the 216th pick. And in round seven, Nathan Thomas, offensive tackle, Louisiana, with the 233rd pick. And Justin Rogers, defensive tackle from Auburn, with the 244th pick. They had to do a little bit of shuffling around to get some extra picks, so they did do a little bit of trading. I think the Guyton pickup is definitely a good one, knowing that they have to replace some offensive lineman help, as well as Nathan Thomas. We'll see how that shakes out for them as well. But I think the offensive line is probably their biggest hole that they'll have to fill. Before today or yesterday, the biggest thing also was that they did not draft a running back with the departure of Tony Pollard. But your old man Zeke is back. So I guess it's his team again. I guess he just decided to leave for a year and come back. Like, y'all missed me. I guess the grass wasn't green on the other side. So looks like it's going to be him and continuously running back by committee, whoever else. I can't remember who else is still there. If Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dottle, and those others are still in the building. But all in all, I think they had a decent draft. They, definitely got some pieces that they need. Like I said, I feel like offensive lineman is going to be the biggest thing for them. I'm interested to see how, some of these players come back from injuries, like Trayvon Diggs. And yeah, I mean, I know the joke right now is, the Cowboys are all in and nobody thinks they're really all in. but with what they were able to work with, knowing that they have a lot of people that they're going to have to pay soon, I think with what they had, they were able to do a pretty decent job as well. They also received a B minus draft grade. Last but not least, her 2024-2025 NFC East champions. Like, not playing. The Philadelphia Eagles had a. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't had football in a long time, so it's like I'm a little excited. Just tad bit. Philadelphia Eagles in round 1 drafted Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo, with the number 22 overall pick. In round 2, Cooper DeJean, defensive back from Iowa, with the 40th pick. Round 3, Jalix Hunt, linebacker from Houston Christian University, with the 94th pick. Round 4, Will Shipley, running back from Clemson, with the 127th pick. In round 5, I'm going to butcher his name, Anais Smith, wide receiver from Texas A&M, with the 152nd pick. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., linebacker, Clemson, 155th. And Trevor Keegan, offensive guard, Michigan, 172nd pick. And in round 6, Johnny Wilson, wide receiver from Florida State, with the 185th pick. And Dylan McMahon, linebacker from NC State, with the 109th pick. Definitely had some needs going into this draft. My opinion, most of the needs were on defense, although some of the happenings were saying cornerback, wide receiver, and offensive line. Definitely for offensive line, need some depth. Losing Jason Kelsey is definitely going to be a thing. And I can't remember the other one they lost. I think it's Suopeta as well, who was a depth guy that they lost in free agency. So getting Trevor Keegan from Michigan, I thought was a great pickup. A lot of people think that he was the reason that J.J. McCarthy was able to have as good as a season as he did. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, I mean, I didn't watch much Iowa football, I won't lie. I didn't know apparently there was a great white cornerback out there doing well. Apparently, DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell were very top-ranked cornerbacks in this draft. And as a lot of people have said, that Quinyon Mitchell just falling to 22 to the Eagles was something that apparently just seems to happen. But knowing that the secondary is a huge issue for the Philadelphia Eagles, as we saw in the last 6 to 7 games of the season last year. Of course, they had a lot of injuries, but even with the injuries, a lot of people didn't play well. We have a lot of older defensive backs, so it's nice to get some newer ones in. Also looking forward to see Sidney Brown come back off of an ACL injury. But I think they did really good in cornerback. I'm interested to see, again, I didn't watch too much of Clemson as well. You know, there's like one really, really good white running back. His name is Christian McCaffrey. I'm hoping Will Shipley ends up being the second. I don't know. But getting another running back, Boston Scott just signed a deal with somebody else. I can't even think of who it was, but I just saw it before we came on the air. So trying to make sure that they solidify the running back room as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Jeremiah Trotter Jr., of course, his dad, legendary Eagle. Hopefully, I again didn't watch too much, but I've been reading up that he was a little bit undersized, but he definitely played a lot bigger than he is. And I'm hoping he just got the same dog mentality that his dad had in him. And from what I've seen so far, he does. So it's definitely going to be another interesting year for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be pretty interesting as a whole in the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles are given an A in their draft as well. It's just going to be interesting for everybody. I think everybody had a very good draft. It's just really how it gets put together. Everything looks good on paper. Everything looks good in April. What is it going to look like in August? Getting ready for September and beyond. And yeah, I mean, I think that they had a great draft. One fun fact, apparently Howie Roseman is just like trading a lot. Howie Roseman made 8 trades over the weekend, the most the most of any team since 1990. That's a lot of phone calls and trading picks. That's a lot, but I think it helped them out, and I'm hoping that it transfers into a great season for them. And I'm wishing all the other NFC East teams a great season as well, except when they play us.
You saying that in April? We'll check back later on in the year about that sentiment. But yeah, we're getting old, man. There's a lot of folks with kids in this draft, like a ton of folks.
And then it said Frank Gore. It was a little
draft.
Like my son didn't get drafted, but that's cool.
Frank Gore's kid, Jerry's kid, T.O.'s kid signed as undrafted free agent. Ain't even know he had a youngster out there. The McCaffrey's tree still growing. Luke out there. And for those that didn't watch Rice, because I'm not going to get mad at you, it's Rice. Luke played quarterback in his college career, spent some time in wide receiver, but he's much more like, I think some folks don't remember younger Ed before any of the injuries. He's kind of more like his dad than he is Christian in that vein. Obviously not as polished as Pops is, but just that's where he is. Like the only thing him and his brother share is blood. That's it in terms, not play styles, not what nobody like. And just like Pops, they can all take it. I think that comes hand down. But Jeremiah Trotter out there, like it's crazy out here, man. Junior at the top of the draft, and Quentin, who is it? Quentin Johnson on the Chargers. Don't you ever let anybody in the gym or the field with a camera when you're working out with Junior. Just look disgraceful. Just don't ever work out with him. Don't let nobody leave with any footage. Because they showed it. If you look side by side, somebody looks like a 2-year NFL vet and somebody looked like a high schooler. And for all the people that wonder why Junior didn't go to the combine, Senior got that taken care of. Y'all just mind your business. That kid's ready, and I'm so pissed because he's going to be in my division for 15 years, just like Larry Fitzgerald was, and I don't get any peace. So lucky me. Can't wait. It don't even matter who throw them people the ball. They just be open. We're going to take our second break when we get back. Some quick updates from Mystic's Media Day. As obviously this past Sunday, WNBA officially open for business. Got training camps this week. I've already started. Then we'll get into rapid fire, which has been so much fun because once again, podcast needs to be taken away from professional athletes. Taking our second break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, real quick with Mystics Media Day notes. Just the vibe, just early on from the team. They're already closing their group. They've been in town for a couple weeks already. So it's not one of the things where it's a bunch of new faces and everyone's just meeting everybody. But they've been here. Shatori talked about how competitive this camp has been compared to the past camps early on. She couldn't kind of find a word to it. I think the word I would use there's a palpable hunger. You got some of the veterans you have where they're veteran in professional basketball, but they're rookies to the W. So you got folks like that are in training camp pushing. That's a little bit different than all the rookies being fresh out of college. There's some people where you played your whole life overseas trying to get a shot in a W. You got some folks like Carly Samuelson when this is her first guaranteed contract in the W. She's been cut 70,000 times. You got folks like that. They're not trying to give up their spots or lose their little space at all. Coach E talked about using their new front court pieces to screen much more than they have in the past, especially off ball, which with the amount of shooters that they have. They've all talked about the continuity on defense. That's been there early on. It's offensively where everyone's trying to find life after, some of the key pieces that aren't there anymore. Everybody knows what's not here. Don't feel like I need to go into it. You talk about how much faster they want to play. And also with that, the spacing, how just kind of meshing the pace with the spacing. Because if you're playing fast and spacing's trash, what are we doing? We just out here to be out here. Some NBA teams can take notes of that. But anyways, talked to Brittany Sykes. She talked about getting more comfortable playing the one. And she said she kind of wanted in her head, she doesn't want to label herself being a point guard because in the past she was saying that when she's been like, hey, I'm a point guard, she's kind of turned off the aggressive part of her game. So in her mind, she's like, I'm just here to distribute the ball so I can still be aggressive, because if I'm not being aggressive, it takes away from my team. So she was just talking about her own mental space. She doesn't want to be called a point guard. Mostly every player on the Mystics that talked was asked about the Rook, asked about Aaliyah Edwards. They talked about quickly she's been able to pick stuff up, her seamless fit defensively, and that they're not worried about her on the offensive end, seeing that she really understands spacing well throughout the limited time that they've had with her. Again, we're only a few days in the camp, but it's the W. Everything's condensed. Like we're like 2 weeks away from opening night already. Like it's going to happen quick. So we'll keep you guys updated as we go forward with Mystics coverage. Cardell, when are we starting to rapid fire?
Yeah, only a couple questions, man, before we get up out of here. We're going to start on the NBA side. Something that just came actually this evening. JJ Redick, former NBA shooting guard, was a guest on the Big podcast with Shaq. And Shaq brought up the extremely tired GOAT debate and mentioned Kobe should be in the combo. Redick replied stating that the NBA was a little bit watered down with Jordan. And when Kobe first came to the league, due to 6 expansion teams being added. But Wilson, can you do me a favor and just play the clip so everyone can hear what he had to say?
I got you. I was just about to put in the chat. Did you want the audio? So here we go. Because I think everyone wants to hear this.
About the conversation is they don't put my boy's name in it. If you're going to be throwing names around, you got to have my boy's name in it. That's like saying, what are the best luxury cars out there, Lexus or a Beamer? You got to put the Mercedes in there too. Mike, LeBron, or Kobe, now y'all debate.
I refuse to get into the GOAT debate. I don't care. They didn't play against each other. What makes him great is the fact that he's done it now for 21 years at the highest level. Yeah, LeBron's never averaged 35 in a year. Guess what? He's averaged 25 or more for 20 straight years. We're nitpicking. A lot of times we're comparing eras. Like I'll say this with Michael Jordan, and I don't mean this to be controversial. Michael Jordan, during his heyday, 6 teams were added to the NBA. There were 90 players added to the NBA. Does that not water down? I'm not talking playoffs, by the way. No chance we're talking playoffs. You're not telling me that the league for a little bit is going to be a little watered down?
Yeah. So thoughts on Redick now that I guess the new jab is that when Jordan took over, the league was watered down because they had 6 expansion teams. And for those that don't know, the teams that came into the league were Minnesota, Charlotte, Toronto, Vancouver, which is now the Memphis Grizzlies, Orlando, and Miami. Those were the 6 teams that came into the league. But Octavia, what are your thoughts on what JJ had to say?
I really hope JJ gets this coaching job so that way we can stop hearing him talk to everybody else. Like, I like JJ Redick gets on my nerves. like seriously, it's like, I'm not saying this to sound controversial, but it's going to be controversial because you sound stupid. That's why it just sounds asinine, and it just sounds like I don't know what JJ Redick wakes up in the morning and decides that he just wants to make blasphemy and just say crazy things that Jordan played in a watered down era. What is this then? What era did you play in, JJ? Was it watered down? Like, I really wish, like, I want him specifically to get off the podcast service, whatever they call it, circuit. There we go. I need him off the podcast circuit. I need him to hopefully whatever team, I can't even remember who it was that was apparently looking at him to be a coach. The Hornets, go to North Carolina, stay down there. I don't know why they would, but hey, I digress. They apparently know more than I do, but It just sounds stupid. Like, I don't even think it deserves an answer. It's just like, you sound dumb. Next. Like, and I would actually, because again, like the podcast era that's going on annoys me, so I don't listen to them that much. But I would actually be interested to hear what Shaq's response would be.
Gotcha. Ray.
Yeah, foolishness. Like, get a life, dude. Like, seriously. And I mean, how can you say it's watered down because they added teams? Did they magically take those teams away and it didn't become watered down anymore? I don't understand that logic. But and then he tried to clean it up and say we're not talking playoffs. Like, so what are we talking about then? Like, what's the point? Like, and on top of that, those teams, at least all the Eastern Conference teams, might eventually play in the playoffs. So I just don't get it. And yeah, we talk about watered down when we got to do a play-in tournament and sub 500 teams making the playoffs, load management, and people tanking. Yeah, one of those one all this other nonsense. One of those championship years, the 6th seed in the East had 54 wins. So where is it watered down? Like, this is just the moves of, we know the guy you're linked to can't measure up, so you just got to try to lower the bar. The bar don't lower. That thing is fixed in position. Either you clear it or you don't. It is what it is. You know, when they doing the high jump in track and field, if the guy before you jumps 7 feet, you got to jump 7 feet or you lose. Plain and simple. So, yeah, man, like it is what it is, man. This debate is over until further notice. Like, somebody got to meet the mark. And if they don't, then Mike's going to be the GOAT forever. And if somebody is fortunate enough to surpass him, then we just going to have to admit that as well. But until then, we just got to accept this universal truth, man. And if it wasn't true, then you wouldn't have to bring his name up every single day. There's a reason that he's involved in every single conversation. He's the standard. You meet the standard or you don't. You can't try to play verbal gymnastics and diminish what he did. That's the marker. And it is what it is, man. But yeah, I'm with Octavia. Get this dude off the circuit. Let him coach an NBA team to 13 wins so they can get him up out of there and he can move on to the next phase in his life.
Wilson.
That Duke education is a mother. Boy contradicted himself 15 times in the first 20 seconds. So it's a watered down league. But during your time is when they started letting anybody, like, you ain't even had to stay in college anymore. You can just come out. It ain't even matter. So half-baked products started entering the league during your time. I'm not that bright, but, you know, just a cooking analogy or whatever. You can't, you preparing a meal, you keep taking stuff out early. That's not going to affect stuff. It's not. Like, at all. Like, there was a point where, like, there was a certain IQ people came out of college with. And it's gone. Like, and literally we hear all of y'all, especially folks on your own podcast boy network, talk about the lack of IQ in this freaking league. What are we talking about? Centers got 4 inches shorter for a while there. Some of y'all still ain't run off 3 in a row. And again, the bar lowered at different spots. You started off a statement with, I know he ain't averaged 35, but he averaged 25. Shut up. That doesn't make any sense. Just shut up. Doesn't make sense. You went to class. That literally makes no sense. Well, this happened for this long of a time. That's really cool, man. Which means, why isn't there more stuff on the other end of it? Like that longevity thing works both ways. I know people love bringing it up, but all right. So if you've been around and see so much, why shouldn't it have been easier? Because you've seen so much, and You went through different phases and all this other stuff. You just gotta let it go, man. It's sad. And then you know what? I think this is perfect because all this crap they've been doing for so long. And here go Aunt Edwards. And the first name people talking about when they look at this dude to bring it up is right back in y'all face. They hop, skipped, and jumped over Mr. Longevity. Every edit on TikTok's freaking algorithm is that dude y'all keep trying to erase. Karma's a mother, ain't it? Ain't that bottom? That's hilarious. I am sorry. It is ironic. And I'm going to giggle my way through this little kid's entire run. Because Susie popped up, it is split graphics side by side, and it's a 23 y'all keep trying to erase. So what's interesting to me is y'all can find a way to praise Ant for all these things. Hey, bro, that means you recognize the other thing. So I can't believe the nonsense coming out your mouth. I keep contradicting yourself. Please stop. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quick, man. So yeah, I'm with you, Octavia. I wish he would just go away. No, I don't want him to get the Charlotte Hornets job. I feel like Charles Lee, the other finalists, local probably DMV cat, same time, same year, graduated class as me. He should get it. He's a longtime NBA assistant coach. He was on staff, I believe, with the Bucks when they won a championship. He's paid his dues, coached in college. He did it the right way. Give the brother a chance, not some guy with Duke pedigree on podcasts kissing up to certain entities to get ahead. No disrespect. He got put in work. Charles Lee's put in work. That's how this should go. JJ is also same age as, like I said, 2002. We all graduated. Charles Lee, all that. JJ, you got to stop using these LeBron Twitter stuff to put it out there, man. It's embarrassing, bro. You know better. You grew up watching what everybody watched. You know better. Those watered down teams, fine. Charlotte Hornets, who did they draft? Lonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues. Were those guys not good? Weren't they in the playoffs right away, fairly quickly? Okay. Miami Heat, Steve Smith, young Steve Smith, Ronnie Cycli, Glenn Rice. Two of those became perennial All-Stars. Jordan was playing them in 92. The expansion team. They came in the league a couple years prior. He was playing them in the first round of playoffs in 92. You know, so watered down, but yet you got all-star talent right away on those teams, putting in work, getting to the playoffs within a couple years. Lord knows Orlando Magic with Shaq and Penny and those guys. Like, that's self-explanatory. That's three. Okay, Vancouver Grizzlies, Big Country Reed, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Mike Bibby. I mean, you know, hey, Toronto Raptors, Damon Stoudemire, Mighty Mouse. Yeah, you got to really be around back then to know what his nickname was. Mighty Mouse, Marcus Camby, Young T-Mac. All right, that's five. Who else? Who else did I say? Miami, Orlando, Charlotte, Vancouver, Toronto, Minnesota, Kevin Garnett, Stephon Marbury, Isaiah Ryder, Tom Gugliotta. They don't even know about Gugliotta. I'm really hitting them hard.
My man Googs.
Yeah, they don't know about the Googs. Googs is nasty. He just got injured. They don't know about. Where's the watered down talent? Maybe the world especially following the Dream Team stuff, the talent pool got deeper, so they needed to expand. You don't expand just to expand. You expand when there's a lot of talent out there and you need to fill roster spots out. You feel what I'm saying? Like, what you saying don't even make sense. And the sad part is you know better. But you catering to try to get ahead, which is why it's hard to rock with what he's doing. Because you're spreading misinformation, knowing that these youngins these days who are going to take over as guys get older, retire, move on, and want to do what they're doing because no one wants to work forever. They're going to be in charge, but they're going to have no concept of history and how to do certain things because they don't put the work in and they don't research. So misinformation will be 10 times as worse if it's not corrected now. There's nothing definitive that no one has came and said that to knock Mike off his man. The sad part is he don't even get in it. It's a tired debate. if you literally have to try to convince people for 15 years that someone's better, chances are he ain't that. Let it go, bro. And the sad part is, I expect that from some young kid who don't know nothing. I wouldn't even bring it up, like, but you know better, bro. Especially with some of the watered down players on the watered down teams, had you on the bench early in your career, you couldn't get in the game. But see, that's disrespectful to bring that up. So why you get on here talking with your chest out and stuff like that, like people weren't watching? You can't fool people's eyes, bro. You can make all these narratives and all these excuses all you want. At the end of the day, we're at the games. We see what happened. Or we was watching the games. We see what's happening. So you can't make up stuff along the way to try to change narratives and stuff like that. Like this area ain't damn watered down with a bunch of kids who don't even know how to play basketball. You could throw a zone in the damn game, and established vets don't even know how to operate against it. You got to be kidding me. And then when they lose, it's the coach's fault. Like the Suns, you see what's going on. Man, everybody in self-preservation mode. Agents and galore talking, representatives talking galore, going through their little media people and all that, putting out all types of stories from the coaching side to the players. It's ridiculous, man. And unlike LeBron, when the Lakers lose, when the Bulls lost, Mike got that heat. He got that heat first. He didn't leave that unscathed. When they lost the Orlando Magic, what did everybody say? Man, he ain't the same no more. 45 ain't 23, bro. He lost a step, dog. Young boys done took over. Young boys done. They ain't say, hey, Pippen should have stepped up. BJ Armstrong should have stepped up. Horace Grant should have stepped up. It's their fault. Jackson can't coach no more. They need to fire him. How you lose to Michael Jordan? Like they make every excuse now for LeBron. Like they had for LeBron. Nah, they got on Mike. And then Mike came back with a vengeance. And that's how you got the 72-10 and made everybody shut the hell up. Then ran all three. I'm done, dog. Enough said. What more work, how much more do I need to put in? So I don't want to hear that, man. Like JJ just, you along with a lot of many others, y'all just need to disappear, bro, from the pocket. Because y'all just saying BS, man. I was excited at first because I thought they would get on these podcasts and really talk that real basketball stuff. Really talk that game so these casuals will catch on. Man, all these are some therapy sessions, some vent sessions, man. Some free therapy sessions. And they're hustling it for some money. So yeah, I'm not in. It's very few podcasts. That's why I always say the Knuckleheads podcast is the best. No messiness, no drama, straight real basketball discussions and interviews, man. And you can get, and even with they have certain people on there, they may challenge them, but it's in a respectful way. To a point where you can still have information being processed and put out, where it's positive and it can be received by everyone involved, and it's not disrespectful. Their format is the ideal format for former players, and that's why I respect it. All this other stuff, most of these other podcasts, just messiness and venting therapy sessions and stuff like that. But the thing is, man, we saw the games, man. We saw it, so you can't hide from that. So. You gotta do better, man. And like I said, Charles Lee, he needs to get his opportunity. He's paid his dues. JJ, no disrespect, not just JJ, anybody, any former player. If you want to pay dues, if you want to coach, pay dues. Hell, Stackhouse just came from college, but he got his. He had to win a championship with Raptors 905 in the G League to get an opportunity in college, and that's Stackhouse. It's not even close between him and JJ. So why is it that Stackhouse got to go the long way to try to get opportunities? I'm just using his name, but JJ can create a podcast and get an opportunity or be a finalist for an interview. That makes no sense to me. It's on you, Wilson.
Hey, man. Gotta love these folks in their podcast mics, man. It means never a dull moment in the sports world at all. But we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. We'll see y'all next week and enjoy these games, man, because I know that's what I'm about to go do is enjoy the rest of these games. As we recorded, Knicks, Philadelphia out here in OT. Cleveland had a lead on Orlando. The kids fighting back. It's getting exciting. So we're going to go enjoy these games. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Get over to the Roku channel, obviously. And don't forget, FogiesTV.com.